Hi, Charles. I don't know if I understood right, but you anticipate the world mobile first infrastructure will be built in 2 years. Yeah, so there's already world mobile infrastructure in Zanzibar. There's two locations. So there's a school that I visited, and it has about 340 girls there. And then there is a fish market in Stone Town in Zanzibar where they basically built these towers. So there's kind of multi-layer architecture there. So the microwave towers do air fiber and microwave, and they broadcast on the, I think, 200 megahertz spectrum. And then the other thing they've been exploring for is Wi-Fi and mesh networks, and that's your low-cost connectivity. And then they're looking at balloons to create broadcast across the entire island. I think the balloon broadcast spectrum is 600 megahertz, and I think that's 4G. So there's a lot of discussions they're having right now about how to accommodate that. But Zanzibar in particular is very keen about the blue economy. So that's fish in the ocean. 60% of the GDP of Zanzibar is related to aquaculture, so seaweed production, fish, all this stuff, the maintenance of boats, rah, rah, rah. The problem is that you can't really govern or manage illegal fishing or the blue economy unless you have connectivity with the vessels. Only 2% of the vessels that fish are internet enabled or have motility, meaning they have a motor. So they're paddle boats or sails. They go out. So you get overfishing in the areas where they tend to spawn and hatch. So it's a government priority to invest in the blue economy over the next 24 months in Zanzibar to actually get the boats to go further out than 5 miles, and then also get them connected to the internet somehow. Project Loon from Google is something that World Mobile is looking into, using some form of tethered balloon to broadcast a radius around the sea and the island itself. And then a network of microwave towers that use mesh nets to kind of connect people locally. Where it's really interesting is the idea of cooperative ownership of the mesh networks and the tower infrastructure. So the idea would be that as people use the Wi-Fi, then they pay for it with some form of a token. Over time, they actually get equity inside the tower. And over time, the tower becomes owned by the community that uses it instead of the ISP. So you create basically micro ISP cooperatives, and they become small businesses that broadcast things. So this is an open business model, and they're moving very rapidly, and they have a great team there, and they have wonderful political access. We met with the president of Zanzibar and all the ministers who are relevant. So there's no regulatory burden for this rollout, but there is still some issue with political autonomy between Tanzania and Zanzibar. Because I believe Tanzania controls the broadcast space for 4G. So there's some work that has to be done between those two areas. And Tanzania controls the monetary policy. So can't quite do a CBDC in Zanzibar quite yet, but maybe the special economic zone can be done. But yeah, 2 years, a lot of progress. And we're going to keep dialing in because there's questions about capacity exchange for bandwidth, how to build that cooperative model of the ownership of the towers, meshnet protocols. We do a lot of network stuff, and there's tons of things to think about. And years ago, we talked about RINA, recursive internetwork architecture. We never lost the passion for RINA. And if you're building all this network infrastructure, that's actually a really good place to introduce it. And a lot can be done there that can fix fundamental problems that the internet has.